Hello and welcome to COS Today, as we bring you Roundtable. The Roundtable segment is presented here every fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m. We'll be focusing on education and discussion of the topics and challenges we all face as we use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Join us now as we bring you COS Today's Roundtable with our MC, John Ackerman.
Welcome to Convention of States Today. This is episode number 306, and this is the July Roundtable. I'm your host, John Ackerman. Before we say anything else, I want to bring on our little buddy, Marengo Mike, with a special message.
Marengo Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
Thanks, Marengo. You do that very well. Well, our topic is Elon Musk's America Party and Convention of States. On July 5th, just 23 days ago, Elon Musk announced the beginning of a new political party in the United States, and we're going to take a look at some of the details. I want to start by asking Gary to talk about the rift between Musk and Trump. They were BFFs, best friends forever, until something went awry. So, Gary, talk to us about the rift between Musk and Trump.
Well, here's how I see that. Donald Trump is a very smart guy, and so is Elon Musk. They have kind of different areas of expertise. Donald Trump understands construction, and one of the things he learned from all of his years in construction was really how to talk to blue-collar workers and communicate with ordinary people. And that allowed him to win the 2016 election. But as I understand, Donald Trump said that he had never literally spent the night in Washington, D.C. before being elected. He had no clue how things.
Oh boy, looks like we're having some trouble with Gary there.
I wondered about that. I wondered if it was just on my end, but I guess Gary has frozen up.
He's trying to come back.
Okay.
Should I remove him and put him back in, maybe?
Give that a try.
Try
Sometimes.
that.
There he goes.
Okay, Gary, now you can talk.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hopefully
Loud
this
and clear.
connection will stay good.
Good.
Oh,
Poor Gary.
I didn't do that.
Welcome to the world of high humidity and the technology.
Well, the gremlins are at work, and it's not even Friday the 13th. What is it here? Monday the 28th. You know what we can do, Dale?
Yeah.
I can just go to the second point.
Wait, here he's back again now. Let's try
Okay, third time's a charm. Okay, Gary.
Okay, we'll try this again. If this doesn't work, why don't you answer the other questions first, and then come back to me maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay.
Trump had incredible political instincts, but he had no clue how things worked in Washington, D.C. Part of the reason for the challenges, along with the Russia hoax of his first term, of not being able to get as many things done as he would like to have gotten done. So this sets up for his second term. He started negotiating with Speaker Johnson like back in March of 2024 for the big, beautiful bill because Trump now understood that in order to get what he wanted through Congress, he had to put all this together in one package. They began negotiating this more than a year ago, all the things that were going to go into the big, beautiful bill, because he understood he had to please every constituency that was going to put in a vote for this, or every representative and every senator had to get something out of it, as well as probably give up something that they didn't want. So on the other hand, here's Elon Musk. Elon Musk comes in. He's an incredibly smart guy too, but his understanding is technical, scientific, physics, and financial. Elon Musk looks at this big, beautiful bill that Trump calls the big, beautiful bill and says, oh my gosh, the spending is crazy. I gave up my time and months of my time and put together this incredible team to find ways to save money. And Donald Trump has just thrown it out the window. Trump understood the political realities that he had to deal with. Elon Musk, he didn't understand that, or he didn't want to understand that in order to get that bill passed with the tax cuts made permanent, that a lot had to be given up and a lot of really foolish spending had to probably happen, a lot of unnecessary things. And so I think Elon Musk felt insulted personally that Trump was supporting this big, beautiful bill when he had put all this work into trying to cut spending. So this was the fallout, I think, was very personal to Elon to say, wait a minute, look what I did for you. And now you're pushing for this bill and all this spending. And so he just took it as an insult. And so they each got their hackles up. And I think if you look at Trump's history, people that, that want to mend fences, he's certainly willing to mend fences. And he doesn't want Elon Musk as an enemy. He wants to bring him back in as a friend.
Okay, so that was the beginning of this new political party. And on the 5th of July, as I already said, Musk announced the formation of what he calls the America Party. And I'm going to talk about what the America Party says it wants to do. Now, on its website, its mission statement is, quote, to champion a politics of possibility, prioritizing fair opportunity over entrenched interests, innovation over bureaucracy, fiscal responsibility over reckless spending, national security through strategic self-reliance, and open expression over cynicism, representing the pragmatic majority of Americans in the middle, close quote. Now that's quite a mission statement. Now, to support that, Musk and his supporters have 9 key pillars, and I'm going to just say a few words about each one. Pillar number 1, they call a fair economy, and by that they mean smart growth, small business empowerment, and so on. Pillar number 2, balanced budget. About the balanced budget, they promote fiscal policies and reforms that ensure responsible spending, sustainable investment, and long-term economic stability for everyone. This sounds an awful lot like what Convention of States wants. Pillar number 3 is a secure nation, meaning strategic self-reliance, selective alliances, and a modern defense system to keep America safe. So that's a secure nation. Pillar number 4, what he calls an innovation economy. And this shouldn't surprise you if you know anything about Elon Musk. He wants to slash red tape. He wants to champion entrepreneurship and invest in AI and robotics, artificial intelligence and robotics, and in space. So it sounds like Elon Musk, doesn't it? Pillar number 5, a future-ready society. And by that, he wants to promote merit-based immigration. So we let immigrants in based on their skills and our needs. Merit-based immigration, a STEM-first education, STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, and math, and putting that first in education rather than, using proper pronouns and making sure that boys can go into girls' bathrooms and the kind of craziness we've seen in recent years. And so that's pillar number 5. Pillar number 6, free expression. He wants a digital Bill of Rights protecting open algorithms, user privacy, and robust debate. He says he wants robust debate because ideas always win. Pillar number 7, abundant energy. Revenue neutral carbon fee. I don't even know what that means. Let me say it again. Revenue neutral carbon fee, next gen nuclear, and market driven clean tech instead of endless subsidies. That's something I think Convention of States would support because we don't want to subsidize private industry with taxpayer money. Pillar number 8, the space frontier. Again, this shouldn't surprise you if you know anything about Elon. He wants for the government to invest in launch tech, lunar logistics, and Mars research and development. You probably know Elon Musk plans to put the first humans on Mars in just a few years. And finally, pillar number 9, he calls justice and transparency. He wants to unseal all criminal files. That may be a bridge too far, just a little commentary there. Unseal all criminal files, protect every innocent person, especially minors. And, my heart can align with that. I connect with that one, protecting every innocent person, especially minors, and prosecute all offenders, no matter how wealthy or powerful they are. So those are the 9 pillars of the America Party, and that's what Elon Musk wants his party to do. That's it in a nutshell. Right now, I want to turn to our friend from the far north. Wait a minute, I see a hand. Dale, you're stopping me before I go to Dave. What you got, Dale?
Thanks. One thing that I came across in my research on this is that, and I think it's we all should be reminded about this, is that Elon Musk is not a candidate for the presidency in his new party.
He can't be.
New party.
Yeah.
Because he can't constitutionally do that.
Right.
And I think that's something we ought to keep in mind. Now, obviously, the party can bring forth another candidate that would qualify, but Elon Musk cannot be a candidate for presidency under this new party. So just want to throw that out there.
Good point. And he couldn't be a candidate for the presidency under any party because the Constitution says you must be a native-born American to be president. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. That's an important point. Now we have our friend who lives way up north near the Canadian border, where it's probably only 85 degrees today. Dave has recorded one of his daily doses that speaks directly to our topic tonight. Elon Musk and Convention of States. Let's hear Dave's daily dose.
I was sitting in a local cafe yesterday for lunch with a Convention of States pal, and she says, "Have you heard about Mark's pitch to get Elon into the group?" That's not exactly what she said, but I think you get the idea. Elon Musk, the darling of the Doge, is learning some hard lessons about this massive spending machine known as the federal government. Lessons some of us have gotten a glimpse of, but really don't know how deep the deep state really is. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. After a bit of falling out with Donnie J, Mr. Musk didn't just say he was going to go home and take his SpaceX with him. He said he was going to hit back, where it would hurt most. He would form a new political party. That'll show him, he might have muttered. Convention of States leader Mark Meckler had a better thought. If Elon wants to make sure the Department of Government Efficiency cuts stick, he needs to appeal to the right people. Forming a new political party could have an impact, but on who? Whom? Whatever. The new party could have impact soon in next year's midterm elections, and they wouldn't be good for the good guys. The Daily Beast, that dyed-in-the-wool loony lefty mainstream Democrat media animal, says that Republicans will lose seats in the House, which would mean Doge cuts in the future will never see the light of day, much less the halls of Congress. A vote in the Senate last night to claw back $9 billion of yours and my tax money came up even Steven. Half of the Senate wants to keep spending your money putting on drag shows in Venezuela or Costa Rica or wherever they have drag shows. If he wants to have proof of how effective his Doge cuts would be eventually, the vote in the Senate is proof positive. Congress loves to spend our money, even when it's wasted, maybe especially if it's wasted. But if the Doge cuts are tied to a constitutional amendment, now we might have something. The truth to tell, experience tells us that all waste, fraud, and abuse will be back soon as the current mania to cut spending dies down. And that's what Mark Meckler wants to tell Elon. And he has help. Daily callers Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and even the team at Broken Road Radio would welcome Mr. Musk into the Convention of States organization. J.D. Vance likes the idea, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, and Florida Representative Byron Donalds. I'm going to be at the Asante County Fair in Minnesota next month, handing out brochures and pinning buttons on folks, and I'd love to have Mr. Musk join me. I'd even give him his own petition to sign. Maybe I'd even convince him once and for all that an Article 5 convention and a convention of states to rein in congressional spending is the answer he's really looking for. I'm David Allen Pont.
Dave's Daily Dose. Good point and very apropos to our topic tonight. Now I want to go back to Marengo Mike and hear something that he wants to remind us of.
Rango Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
Thanks, Marengo. Well, I read you the mission statement of the America Party and the 9 key pillars, and a lot of them sound awfully good. I would like to see most of those 9 reforms happen in the United States. But Dale's going to talk to us now about why this America Party isn't enough. It's just not enough. Dale?
Yes, thanks, John. I think our research may be overlapped some here on this topic, but I want to bring up some things that I found out in my research. And the first thing is, of course, about the Elon Musk party. But from a constitutional conservative standpoint and just some general critics, what some of the things that have been identified that the party is lacking. But right now, to begin with, let's talk about what I found that what I think Elon Musk wants to do with a third party. And now, of course, John, you just went through 9 pillars in more detail. But in general, I think Elon was, of course, the frustration factor. You mentioned that too, John. Frustration with corruption in both parties, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The appeal to common sense, centrism, and promote the digital age, transparent governance. That's something that you mentioned in the 9 pillars. His wants to restore meritocracy and accountability. And I think that's something that we heard Elon talk about quite a bit. And of course, the pushback against censorship, and over-regulation. All these, of course, I think were buried within the 9 pillars that you discussed, John.
Mhm.
Now, from a constitutional conservative standpoint, what we think is lacking, and I throw convention of states into this category of constitutional conservatives, but we find that the America Party, it lacks firm grounding in the U.S. Constitution. So you don't hear too much discussed about the Constitution with regard to the America Party. No emphasis, and this is an important one, no emphasis on Judeo-Christian values or moral heritage. Now, as time goes on, we may hear more about this, and we may, some of these connections that we think are lacking right now, these may be solidified, may surface. But I think this is what some of the things that we see now that are lacking. Does not highlight state sovereignty or federalism. Very important concept. And once again, this may be developed over time, but right now it seems to be lacking. Concerns about potential technocratic overreach. Now, in the pillars that John just discussed, there was a definite focus and emphasis on technology, technocratic activities, and could be a potential overreach. So that's something that's lacking. And here's a big one. No strong stance on the Second Amendment or religious liberty.
Mm-hmm.
I found that that's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Once again, these may come to fruition over time, but I think right now it seems to be lacking. Now, just some general critics, conservatives as well as others, basically no detailed platform or policy specifics. Once again, this may come and be developed. No visible ground game or party infrastructure. Certainly, obviously, this has to be developed over time, but right now it appears to be lacking. No coalition building with existing voters. Obviously, the ground game needs to be implemented and described, which is lacking right now. And it overlooks the difficulty of two-party dominance. So those are just some of the things that I have found that are lacking, I think, in the America Party. Obviously, from the standpoint of Convention of States, we think Convention of States should be in there, should be part of this, and hopefully it will become part of it. But that's a major point that's lacking. I think another point, I mentioned the point about Elon Musk not being able to represent this party as a presidential candidate. I think another thing I discovered in my research is that I think what Musk is targeting on are some House races and some Senate races. So in other words, to work toward tilting the control of the House and control of the Senate to the conservative side, to the, be it Republicans, I guess, our non-democratic side. So I think that's a major focus of the America Party. But those are just some of the things that I found that were that we're lacking in the America Party right now, John.
Yeah, that's quite a lack.
Yeah.
Quite a few things lacking. So thanks, Dale. Now, what you see on the screen here is four men and one woman. And Diana Tellis is our friend from the state to our east, Ohio, which is my home state. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. And Diana is Ohio's state communications coordinator. And she's graciously joining us tonight. And she's going to talk about the next point, and that is Musk and COS. Now, as early as last November, people were suggesting that Musk endorse Convention of States. That, in my judgment, that would be a much better thing for him to do with his time, effort, influence, and money than to start a new party. But I'm going to be quiet here for a minute and let our friend from the East, Diana, talk to us about Musk and COS.
Very good. Thanks, John. I have kept my mouth shut a long time. That's a record, I think. So Elon and Convention of States. So that's not new to July 2025. Since Elon was sort of brought into Doge and announced as a Doge member and a sort of founding member, we've been trying to get his attention at the national level. They have been parading signage back probably as early as January, maybe February, in his Austin, Texas gigafactory. COS has definitely been trying to get his attention, even on social media as well. And it's not hard to understand why he would be an excellent choice. We already had the blessing from Vivek Ramaswamy, who was his partner in crime. Obviously, we would like to get the attention of the Trump administration, but Elon would have been like a key person there. And he's such an outside of the box thinker, and he's so big and he's so well known and he's so different. I don't like to think of COS as outside of the box so much. I mean, we're in the box. It's a constitutional, directive. So, but it's never been used. So that makes it a little outside the box, I guess. And a guy like Elon would be like the great person to have on our side. And it might just be the kind of power that we need to help us get more states passed. Not to mention he's got a hefty bank account that could do us some good too, would be helpful. But I'll tell you, in this month, I guess, Elon learned that what Mark Meckler has said, we've heard it time and time again from him, that 12 years ago, at the end of his tenure with the Tea Party movement, they got people elected, people they handpicked that were like us, that all those things that even that Elon is talking about, got those people elected, sent them to Washington, D.C., and nothing changed. That we need to go outside of Washington, D.C., as Mark Meckler said, outside of Washington to initiate fundamental change. And Elon learned firsthand by watching that big, beautiful bill pass and not really maybe factoring in the politics of that, what that realistically, that it needed to happen, frankly, and that we're still going to spend. I can understand his frustration. I also, and I'm really going out on a limb and saying this, but my first thought was that Elon needed to divorce himself from Donald Trump, perhaps in some way. I'm not saying that's what this is all about. I'm just throwing that out there. That he was under a lot of pressure and there was a lot of ugly things going on. And now he's taken a step back and it's got to feel just a little bit better, I would think. That's just a guess. I did not find that online or anything. I came up with that on my own. So we have, backing up, we have been trying to get his attention at the national level. And I think we've got a photo here, a sign that was actually funded by Convention of States Foundation. And this is the type of thing that we had out there in Texas to get his attention. So it's probably very, very likely at this point that he understands who we are. And really, I mentioned to my boss, Catherine, I said to her, boy, we really need him to not have a third party, create a third party. It feels like that's not going to be effective. Historically speaking, a third party isn't effective. But he needs to pivot our direction. And she said to me, but is he the kind of guy who would really change his mind? And he's probably not the kind of guy who would just change his mind, especially if he's already got a website up. He's given it some thought. He's got the funding and the tools to make that happen really quickly. But why couldn't he do both? I mean, I should think he could support us and support his party, his new party, and perhaps be involved with both. I would take it. So, yeah. And then, of course, this past month, then Ron DeSantis stepped up and suggested on X that a convention of states would be more effective than a third party. And then Mark Levin reposted that. And of course, we're reposting all of it because we're loving this, right?
Yeah.
And Levin did challenge Elon to fix DC in an institutional way and get behind a convention of states. Levin's tweet was then reposted by Ben Shapiro and Chip Roy. In fact, I think I heard that Ben Shapiro discussed it on his show. So we have some really, really big supporters there that are telling Elon similar things and are parroting this message, his direction. So I don't know. I've heard nothing about his actual, like, any kind of response out of him. I've not heard that. I know John Solomon saying the same thing from Just the News. He said to put your money and effort into COS rather than a third party. It's a much better investment. So I don't know. It's only this all took, happened in July. We could see something interesting happen. It's early. So we can hope for the best. We will take him. So I hope he's listening and that he sees the value that we do in paring back the size and scope of the federal government via an Article 5 state amending convention.
Yes. Gary, did I see your hand come up?
Yeah, I was just thinking about a lot could be said about this. One of the things that's going on with Elon is he's got lots of money, and I'm sure he's hiring consultants, political consultants, and they're not going to tell him drop this and join COS because he's their gravy train. He's their, they want him to pay them money for, months and months and hopefully years and years, while they tell him how to do a third party, which is obviously a losing thing, a big mistake. But those experts, those consultants, that's exactly what they are telling him. And somehow, COS needs to get ahead of those guys because those guys are not our friends.
Okay. Diana gave me an idea while you were talking, Diana, that if all of our viewers who are active on X, if you would get on there and tag Elon Musk and put a link to this broadcast, flood his inbox, get him to watch this, we can convince him, right? Well, David killed Goliath with one stone in a sling, and maybe we can reach Elon and get the word to him, because, third parties don't win presidential elections. Ross Perot ran for president and got Bill Clinton elected, and so anyway, it's not going to make any difference. It's just going to mess up the two messed up corrupt parties that we already have. But for him to throw his weight behind Convention of States could really make a big difference to the reform and salvation of this government and of our beloved nation. Really could. Well, I'll tell you what, up above Diana's head, there's a QR code way up there in the corner. And I'm going to ask Ken to talk about that and then go into his part of the roundtable, which is what Elon Musk endorsement of COS could do for us. Ken, your turn.
Okay, well, that QR code up there is talking about support, is a way that you can show your support for what we're doing here at COS today. Right there where Diana's pointing, and I don't have to go ahead and point it, and John's pointing in the wrong direction. That's probably because of his mirrored, there you go, mirrored camera. But that QR code is there for your smartphone to take a picture of it and put in your name and email address, and you will join a host of other platform supporters. And with that, you'll gain some access to some very interesting contributor segments, as well as links to some very interesting educational pieces, as well as a way to kind of interact with other supporters of COS today. So we would really appreciate your support in doing so. So go ahead and get your camera out and do that. And even if you're viewing this a day later on the recording, it still works. So go ahead and hit it while you can.
Thanks, Ken.
Well, some of what obviously this topic will bring about is obviously been just hit in little bits and pieces, as you know, Diana has brought forth different ways that Elon Musk's participation or joining COS as a supporter would do. I'll just kind of highlight that and then show a little bit of at the very end. I'll throw in a little bit of challenges and considerations that we would have to take place on that. So first of all, obviously, it's been talked about. It would hugely increase the visibility and support. Public attention, you know, Musk's involvement would attract significant media. I mean, it doesn't take much but Musk's name and anything that he's doing to attract media coverage. And in that sense, getting major coverage from the wicked parts of media would certainly put out our message even further to those that really need to hear it. So you know, we would welcome all the major media companies that have for a long time just, you know, played out as a democratic sounding board. So it would certainly increase that, and it would obviously raise the awareness about the Convention of States Initiative. Influence as a high profile figure. I mean, Musk could mobilize a large following that kind of goes hand in hand. And it would encourage, I think it would encourage more citizens to engage with the movement. Obviously, we're always going to have that segment of the population that just, you know, for any other reason than just to join some kind of a hate group, you know, mention his name or Trump's name or anything, any other number of people that for whatever reason, there's going to be that group of people out there. But I think it's significantly smaller than the American population that would get on board once Musk decided to throw his hat into a Convention of States support role. And of course, you know, Diane mentioned, you know, and Gary mentioned, he's got huge pockets, the financial resources, the funding potential. Musk's financial backing could provide substantial resources for grassroots efforts, including campaigns to persuade state legislators to support the convention. So those are a couple of things there. One thing that wasn't mentioned that it could also do is it could produce some super PAC support. So his involvement could lead to the establishment of a super PAC, allowing for unlimited donations and spending to promise to promote the Convention of States agenda. And then, of course, the legislative impact, you know, political leverage. Musk's status could help sway undecided legislators, making it easier to gather the necessary support from 2/3 of state legislators to call for a convention. These are some things that obviously on the legislative side, Musk could help persuade. Focus on key issues. You know, obviously they talked a little bit about that. Diane talked a little bit about that and what his focus is on. And his advocacy could highlight specific amendments aimed at fiscal restraint, limiting federal power, and imposing term limits, all aligning with the movement's goals. So he does very much line up with Convention of States purpose and mission. And I think, as John mentioned, you know, maybe we can get him on here. That would be great. That would bring a little notoriety and some support and obviously boost our numbers. So Elon, if you happen to catch this on X, give us a buzz. Give Dale a buzz. I'm sure he might be speechless, but give him a call or drop us an email. We'll give you the email address at the end of the program. Drop us an email. Tell us what you think. So lastly, I'd like to just throw out some challenges and considerations. The first one being skepticism. I mean, some experts, you know, caution that while Musk's involvement could energize the movement, it may also lead to skepticism about the effectiveness of a new political party versus the Convention of States approach. And of course, strategic direction. Musk would need to align his vision with the existing goals of the movement to assure a cohesive strategy moving forward. He'd have to be on board. Lastly, I'd say, engaging with the Convention of States could significantly enhance the movement's reach and effectiveness, and leveraging Musk's influence to drive meaningful change. And I think, the majority of Americans want meaningful change. I mean, I think that's pretty evident with just the way that things are rolling out for President Trump's first 6 months. It is pretty obvious people are happy with what he's doing with the border and other types of things. The only way I think maybe the American Party might be able to be, come alive would be maybe if the Democratic Party just completely continues to implode. Their numbers are already down in the teens, so maybe the death of the Democratic Party might open the door for a new party. And of course, it would certainly align a lot closer with where the Republican Party is. But I think to try and address some of the things as far as the corruption is concerned, we could use, as the Republican Party, we could use some cleaning up in that arena alone as well. So, I mean, this isn't just one-sided at this point. Both parties need to get rid of this corruption, in order to really bring back America to its fullest and most potential strength that we could possibly see.
Okay, Ken, that's some great stuff. Thanks a lot for your input there. Now, I'm going to show you an open letter that Convention of States has prepared to Elon Musk. Now, I'm not going to read it. There's too much there to actually read on the air here. But I have gone to that site and I have signed that. And Convention of States, I guess, is collecting all of these open letters and posting them or sending them to Mr. Musk. And if you want to do something tangible, something that might help contribute to a landslide or a break in the dam, you can sign this letter too. Now, Ken is going to put the URL, the link to that letter in the chat box for both Facebook and YouTube. The URL is too long for you to try to copy down. It's there at the top of the screen there, and it's too long for me to read, but Ken will put that in the chat box. And so you can just click on it and you can go right now and sign that open letter and join probably tens of thousands of us who've already signed it and send it in. Now, it looks like we're going to finish up earlier than normal tonight. We didn't plan it that way, but this wasn't a very controversial topic, and it was something that we were able to get through in about 42 and a half minutes. So we are now reaching the end of this month's roundtable. And before I close it out, I want to give you that email address that Ken referred to. And if you are Elon Musk, you can write to this email address with your questions. And if you're not Elon Musk, you can write to this email address with your questions about Convention of States. It is raiseyourvoice.cos@gmail.com. That's raiseyourvoice.cos@gmail.com. Now, something really big is coming up in September in Indianapolis, September 18 to 20. And we want to show you a video and an invitation to come and participate in the National Summit of Convention of States.
Wrangle Mike here with a reminder of an event you're not going to want to miss. The Race to Freedom Summit is going to be held right here in Indianapolis, September 18th through the 20th, and it's coming quicker than you think. So watch the video and get yourself registered for the Race to Freedom Summit here in Indianapolis. See you there.
Hey, Convention of States, this is Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. We're so happy to have you here in Indiana. I'm a big supporter of an Article 5 convention. I love what you're doing. Keep driving that ball home, and welcome to Indianapolis.
We're checking in at the Sheridan. Come and join us. Join us for Race to Freedom. Hey, Kate Spade. Check it out. Join us in Indy. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Race to Freedom.
museum. He's a volunteer here. Come to the museum. You're going to love it. This is a great place. Rich comes out here once a month from St. Louis, Missouri. He volunteers this time, just like you're doing. Come meet Rich at the museum.
You know, the website to register for the summit went by awfully fast. We need to promote that website or grab that QR code that they flashed up at the end of that video, but it's conventionofstates.com/summit 2025. That's less than 2 months away. And we'd like to see a whole bunch of people go to that from Indiana and many surrounding states. So that's our reminder about the summit. Now, I want to invite you to tune in a week from tonight. That's Monday, August the 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, when we're going to talk about alligator Alcatraz. I don't want to go there, but it's going to be a good program. And then the week after that, August the 11th, the topic will be the War Powers Act of 1973. That could be a very interesting one to listen to also. And our next Convention of States Today Roundtable will be on the fourth Monday of August. That's August the 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern, where our topic is going to be birthright citizenship. And I bet you that one will go a full hour at least. That's a loaded topic and a rich topic. And as everybody knows, President Trump has issued an executive order terminating birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. And the Supreme Court, I'm sure, is going to have to settle that one out. So that's on August the 25th. Now, here's episode number 27 of COS Basics. John Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana. In this episode of COS Basics, I'm going to consider the truth that the scope of an Article 5 convention can be limited. In fact, it will be limited. And as I've said before, much of what I'm saying is not original with me. You can find it on conventionofstates.com. This time, Rita M. Peters, Doctor of Jurisprudence, writes, "The scope of an Article 5 convention can be limited." Article 5 naysayers claim that at an Article 5 convention, our entire Constitution will be opened up for surgery, including the Bill of Rights. There goes freedom of speech, there goes your Second Amendment, etc., and so on and so forth. Well, this is wrong as a matter of fact, precedent, and logic. First of all, fact. More than 400 applications for an Article 5 convention have been filed with Congress. The reason we've never had one is because there have never been 34 applications seeking a convention for the same purpose. This fact demonstrates that the purpose or scope specified in the applications does matter. And only when 34 states agree on a given topic will the convention even be triggered. Number 2, precedent. When states convene in convention, they always have a particular purpose and a specified topic. For example, the purpose of the 1787 convention, commonly called the Constitutional Convention, was to, and get this, quote, render the federal Constitution adequate to the exigencies of the Union, close quote. Third, logic. Official meetings of any kind always have a stated purpose. We call it an agenda. There is just no other rational way to conduct business. The conclusion of this, the fact, the precedent, and the logic, the conclusion is that the Convention of States project application limits the scope of an Article 5 convention to proposing amendments that, one, impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, two, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and three, set term limits for federal officials and members of Congress. States cannot broaden the topic that was identified in the 34 triggering applications. Contrary conclusions have no basis in fact, law, or history. And so I repeat Attorney Rita M. Peterson's point: the scope of an Article 5 convention can, and I will say will, be limited. Thanks for tuning in and spending a few moments with us as we've discussed Convention of States issues. Now, to close us out, here's Marengo Mike again.
Marengo Mike here with a reminder that our work to raise the bar on making our federal government accountable to the people is only halfway done. We need to grow our grassroots army of citizens every day to fulfill the vision of our forefathers and keep our land free and prosperous. So, if you have never signed the petition to show your support, use that QR code and do that now. While you're there, why not kick it up a notch and volunteer for many of the positions available where your talents can make a difference as we march into a new year. Thank you, and God bless.